Hello. So, a little more on that topic of when they reach out and whether or not you get back to them, which I failed miserably for a year post breakup and continued to eventually get back to him. I would make him wait weeks and stuff, but I would eventually break down and be like, "So, what's up? You sound upset." Da, ba, 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 ba. I very clearly learned that all of the research is correct, and if you get back to them in any way at all, even if it's fighting or yelling or screaming or insulting them, you're giving them the fuel that they need, the hit of narcissistic supply. A lot of people wonder, but how do I resist? How do I resist getting back to them when he's calling and love bombing me or trying to get me back and saying, well, how do I resist? Where can my brain go to make me resist getting back to them, right? I feel like I've now started to look at things in a little bit of a different way, and I always let you know that I want to tell you something that helped my psyche, and so this is what I've come to look at it like, okay? I mentioned on my last video that I even got a message, it was in blocked messages a week ago. The instinct of a dysfunctional, codependent empath like myself is to reach out and make sure the person is okay. Or anybody that would contact you. That's just, he sounded so broken and so drunk, and he had slurred speech. I mean, he sounded like a mess. It struck me as piercing to me for me to even have a care about his welfare. It did. I was like, "Ooh, Renee, why are you caring? Like, ew, like you know what's going on here. You know this is why." Then I remembered. I'm someone who cares, and you may be too, about other humans. He's another human. He sounded broken. I think we have to lighten up on ourselves if we get a jump or an instinct to reach back. And I'm not saying you do it, but I think we have to lighten up on ourselves. Like, my instinct wasn't to reach back, but my instinct was, poor thing, which could eventually lead to me getting back. If that seeps in and they call again and they call again and again and again, and you're feeling bad, and that can lead you to eventually breaking down and getting back to them. That's what my narcissist used to do. I'd get 32 phone calls in one night. And I would wake up the next day and be like, oh my God. Now, he doesn't ring because he would be on block. But I'd be like getting up to all these men. Then eventually I would soften. How are you? No. The instinct to reach back out, if you look at it like it's just because you are someone that's concerned for other people, not necessarily, don't think about it as you want to know what they're up to. My instinct a couple of weeks ago, almost 2 weeks ago, was because, oh my God, this human sounds broken. And it's against the grain of who I am to hear someone broken down like that and to not reach out. A stranger I would help who sounded that bad, right? We have to ease up on ourselves because we want to jump right in and call them back and make sure they're okay. That just says something good about us, I think. But it doesn't mean we fold. There's the difference. It doesn't mean we fold. Or that it's a sign for you to return their advance. That you keep feeling badly. Or they keep calling you. Say it's week 1, week 2, week 3. You're on month 3. They're still calling you. I said in the last video, if you continue to ignore it, they'll stop. It'll dissipate. They can only go so far and not get fuel. It's not going to be a perpetual, endless, it feels it, 32 phone calls in one night within 2 hours is a lot. And messages following every single one to wake up to. But if you do, and this is part of when I told you I tested it, if you do ignore them, they do stop. It dissipates. And they move on to someone else. And that's another reason and another way you can tell it has nothing to do with me. If it had something to do with you, they'd be at your doorstep. They'd be sending flowers. That's not healthy showing up at my doorstep. I don't want that. But do you know what I mean? There are ways you pursue people when you mean it, when you're sincere. If you've never been pursued by someone in a sincere fashion, there's ways that they can do that are more sincere than just call, text. What effort does that take? That doesn't take any effort. And they're doing it when they're with somebody else. Oh, yeah. I would hear him. Some of the messages. He's outside, like a club, or it's noisy in the background, and people are yelling to him, and I hear voices, and I'm like, he's up to no good now. Calling me while he's up to no good. You give it time, you resist, it dissipates, and you'll see the real salt of a human being. And they'll fade off, and let them. And they'll start picking on somebody else. They'll start bothering somebody else. They'll start clamoring maybe harder with their new supply to make it work out. If you're not answering them, they're going to even come at that newer supply that they're having a problem with, which is why they're calling you. They're going to try to repair that. They're going to go with whoever bites, right? Unfortunately for the new supply, they're in the most likely place to bite. If they're your ex, you've already been through all this. Their new supply, they're primed and ready. He would start to have a problem with the new supply, and my phone would start to ring. It was like on a monthly basis. It was like clockwork. I was like, wow, this poor girl has no idea. But she always would respond eventually, okay? So he would call, there'd be a couple days, talk to me, boom, he disappears again. I never, got back together with him, but I'm thinking, okay, so he got back together with her. Let them do that. I don't want any new supply going back and forth either. I hope they find this channel and dump them also. But you've already been through it. You don't want to go through it again. You're opening up an entire new cycle if you answer them. That's how you remind yourself to resist. You're opening up a cycle. And it's just going to make you feel bad. Say you do, okay, so you give in and you call them, but by now they're over it, right? Now they don't call you back. How does that make you feel? We all know how that makes us feel. Now you're horrifically damaged, texting them, calling them, saying, but I thought you needed me. You called me 37 times from Sunday. I'm calling you back and you can't even answer the phone. That's a place of dismay that you don't need to be in anymore. It's not your place anymore to be in that spot. And you shouldn't want to be in that spot. That's how you resist. Just know that they're doing it to everybody, and that when you get the instinct, it could just be that you are a caring individual about someone. Look at your particular narcissist. Do you actually want them back with the list of infractions they've done to you? Or are you just so used to caring for them? You're used to loving them. You're used to it. It's comfortable for you, even if it's ugly. Break yourself out of it and don't. Look, here's the thing. I feel that sometimes when they have a reach out, it could be like a mini sign from the universe to you, to us, a mini one, to take our temperature as to the situation. I found out my temperature is okay. I'm in line. When I got an instinct because he was a fellow human, that's just because my wish is health, happiness, and love if you want it for everyone. That's a wish I have for enemies of mine. I don't ill wish anybody. I don't walk around earth wishing people harm. It's just doesn't go through my head. And people that are enemies of mine, I don't really pay them any thought or any mind. Obviously, this one I pay mine to because I have this channel, but I wouldn't even really call him an enemy. He's not in my life. He's not, do you know what I mean? He's insignificant. And the sooner you wrap your brain around the fact that your narcissist should now be insignificant to you, the better off you'll be. Fast forward there, my people, because it is ugly when you start answering them and going through that whole back and forth. So I had the instinct to get back to him for a second. Within moments, yeah, I quickly had a flood of memories of his wrongdoings. A flood. And then I abandoned the concern over his welfare. It was piercing for me to have had it. I told you, it was piercing. I was like, oh my God, I care? Because he sounded broken. He's a fellow person. I abandoned the concern over his welfare and realized he's fine. I mean, he's a mess, but he's gonna be fine. There's no need for me. He will tap into whatever resource he needs. I'm not playing any longer. I'm off the bench. Well, I'll never be off his bench to him, but in my mind, I'm not on his bench anymore. No. He's learning I'm not even a call to make when making his list of calls. Because remember, our behavior teaches them what we'll accept and what they can do. So, you know this, yes? Like, they make a bunch of calls at once. I can't stress that enough. That's how you resist. I don't care the verbiage they use. It could be Shakespearean love language, brilliantly worded. They might have said that exact paragraph to 10 people in the same day. You can't be ghosted or mistreated if you never respond. There's nothing to ghost if you're not there. There's nothing for them, no one for them to play with if you're unavailable. Stores closed. It's closed. Now, I'm still very tempted, and I have periodically over the last handful of months, I sent him a couple of snarky comments telling him he was regular because I just knew that that would bother him. I wouldn't even recommend that because that probably gave him a chuckle. And that gives them supply too. This is why they say no contact, okay? And there's a big, big, big window of no contact. The reason they say don't have any contact, not even a snarky insult, is because that also fuels them. Because they're so full of themselves that they don't even take an insult as an insult. They take an insult as, oh, she's still thinking of me. I can still get to her. Look at that power I have. I got her mad. I made her text me back. I eventually broke her down. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. It's really awful. And the more you wrap your brain around all of this, you can then move forward and you'll resist getting back to them. You don't want to get back to somebody like that. I don't want to be... The only way that person would ever see or speak to me again is if he walked right into me by mistake, which will never happen because he lives hours away. That's Minnie snoring. Can you? I don't know if you can hear that, but it's loud. I want you to pay your own space respect. Pay it proper mind. Keep your space clean of them entering into it. Because the minute that they do, they're gonna have some kind of control over you, and they can now lead you and manipulate you into a space they want you to be in. It may even be to get back together. Some of these cats are very powerful love bombers. Very powerful. And they'll pull out everything and swear on anything to make you think that they want to speak to you, be with you, reconnect with you. It isn't us. That's how you resist. You remind yourself that you will not be just another person for them to contact. You certainly are worth more than that. There's only one of you on this planet. There's only one of me on this planet. Okay? We are all unique and special individuals. There is somebody on earth for every other person. Whether or not any of us have met that person yet or not doesn't matter. There is. And they'll love you for you. It won't be about just any companionship. They'll take it because you're the one that answered the phone call. That's not what we want for ourselves, is it? Oh, heck no. Just be any old person that answers the phone and entertain them for a few days and then let them go back to their business or onward to their new business or thanks for the ego boost. They don't even do that. He would just fall off. Yeah. And then I wouldn't hear from him again for another month. Go through the same thing a few days, he'd fall off, wouldn't hear, and every time it was he would get back with the new supply. He would get back, so they'd have a big blowout. It was like clockwork. So I'm trying to save you the time. That is what they're doing. And if that girl ever knew the messages and the calls and the things that I got while he was in a relationship with her, she would die. She would die. So watch for that. Don't be someone's punching bag, someone's go-to, no. And trust me, it has nothing to do with us. And I am very sorry for the new people to tell you that. I know it's heartbreaking because you're sitting there going, what? Everything I went through, they don't care about me? They don't care deeply about anybody but themselves. I explained this to my narcissist and he would say, don't call me that. Don't say that. I love you. What do you mean? You say I don't have feelings. You say I can't love. That's ridiculous. You have no idea how I feel about you. That's not right that you say that, Renee. I'm right. He's proven to me with his actions I'm right. Proven to me with his actions. Okay? So are they acting like it's you? Not if they're gallivanting all over the place and you're one of 10 phone calls. That's not acting like they want to be with you. And don't fall for it if they're lying to you and telling you a bunch of things. Please watch out for that. I'm on your side. We're all on each other's side. And we're not wanting the narcissist to gain favor of you if you're newly going through this breakup because they think they can charm their way back into your life. Give it some thought, my friends.